All right, we should be recording now. So hope you guys are having a great day so far. So we have a special guest here today, Katie Craig. So Katie, say hi.
Hey.
So super excited to have her on here. If you don't know, she has been a client of mine actually for almost, I think, 2 years. I think it was March of 2023 when
Yep.
you first signed on, which is crazy that it's been that long. I think the first year you had lost somewhere around like 13-ish pounds, and I think this past year you've lost roughly about like 15 pounds in the past year too,
Mhm.
while also like navigating some muscle building phases and all of that too, and some huge body composition changes. So it's been awesome being able to work with you so far. But wanted to bring Katie on and because you guys hear me talk about my experiences and my tips, tricks, motivation and stuff. But it comes a little bit different when you hear it. I think from someone who is maybe a mom or a wife versus me being a dad and husband, like slightly different perspectives on things. So I thought it'd be really cool because of like the amount of success you've had so far with this, Katie, to have you on and have you just kind of like share your experiences, how you navigate things when the kids, are maybe needing you, but then you need to get your workout in or this or that. So we're going to dive into like all that. But kind of first off, for people who don't know you, kind of just give like a brief run through of like who you are, what does your life look like, how many kids do you have, all that stuff.
Yeah. So I am 34. I'm going to be 35 next week, actually. Whew. I'm
You forget,
married.
you forget right after a while.
Yeah. I'm like, okay, I'm in my 30s. That's what I tell people. But yeah, I'm married. Corey and I have been married 8 years. We have three little girls. We have a 7, 5, and 2-year old. So super busy with them. I work full time. I'm a social worker at Children's Services. So I work Monday through Thursday. And then, like Joey said, I've been working with him for almost 2 years in March. So, fitness has just kind of always been a passion and a part of my life. And I took the leap of faith of working with Joey a couple years ago, and I'm so glad I did. I've learned a lot since being with him. So, yeah,
Cool. Awesome. So 30, you said next week or next month? 35.
next week.
Next week.
Yep.
Wow. Are you doing anything fun for it? Any big plans?
Um, Probably not. I think the girls have a cheerleading camp actually, so I'll be attending that with them on my birthday.
That'll be fun. I don't know like how much you're on TikTok at all, but I like scroll on there endlessly. But I
Yes.
guess it's gonna get banned soon. I don't know. I don't know how that's gonna go.
Yes.
Um, but I'll scroll on there and there will be people like making videos talking about quote unquote older people and they'll like say 30s and 40s and I'm like, holy crap. Like, I mean,
That's me.
it's insane. I'm 31 and I'm like, I'm kind of lumped into that group or almost getting there of like, I feel like 40 is not that far away even for me.
Yeah.
And it's just crazy. Like as you get older, you you don't feel that older, like you get wiser and everything, but I almost in my head sometimes feel like parts of me are the same me that was like 25 but just like a little bit more wiser, I
Mature.
guess. Yeah, mature too. Yeah, that too.
Yeah, I think this one I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm mid 30s. Like when people say mid 30s, I used to be able to be like, oh, I'm 34, but now I'm mid 30s. So yeah, it's hitting a
Yeah,
little
and
hard.
I don't know if you've gotten to this point, but I've had these like conversations or thoughts with myself of like, man, my life is probably like less than a third of the way over with.
Stop it.
Which is just crazy to think about. Like, I
Yeah.
don't know. Maybe I just think about death a lot. Not in like
Yeah,
a
don't
bad
spiral
way,
me
but
right now.
yeah, no. Okay, maybe I shouldn't have brought that up. But um uh cool. So no, I wanted to have Katie on, like I said, because she's seen a lot of success and she has a super busy schedule. She's a mom, she's a wife, and has other responsibilities. And I think like probably most of my listeners probably are moms or women who deal with those kind of same situations. And like, obviously, I think I give good advice most of the time, but it's helpful to hear from somebody who's really going through maybe a more similar situation as you. Um, so wanted to like first touch on, with all the progress you've seen over the past, couple of years. I mean, you're down like 25, 26 pounds since you like started all this. How do you deal with the struggle of like putting yourself first and like the possible guilt associated with that, especially like with you, hiring a coach and investing financially into it too, not even time wise, but like how do you deal with that?
Yeah, I I remember like one of my first conversations with you saying like I feel really guilty spending that money on myself, and I remember you like not lecturing me by any means, but just like trying to make me understand like it's not selfish. Um, I remember having the conversation with my husband, who is like the most supportive person in the world. So, so blessed to have him. Um, just saying, like, you can't pour from an empty cup. You deserve, to focus on yourself. And if this is something that's going to make you happy, then you need to do it. And like I knew that. I feel like I always knew that deep down, but it was just something that I had to get to the point where it's like what I'm doing isn't working, right? So like pouring myself, running myself completely ragged, trying to fit in these workouts that I don't really even know what I'm doing, what I'm, working on. It's not helping and I don't feel any better. So what do I need to do to be able to make myself the best version of myself for my family? Um, is kind of like the point that I got to. So I think it is a mindset thing. I think every mom has mom guilt. I think every parent has, guilt in some way, but I think realizing like anything that you're doing to better yourself ultimately betters your family. So it's not selfish. It's not something that you should look at as I'm putting this money into myself and I could be putting it into my kids, which in reality, putting money into yourself is putting that money into your kids is the point that I've gotten to now. And I wish I would have had that hindsight 2 years ago. I think I would have started a lot sooner, but it's just something I think you have to like really sit down and weigh out like, is what you're doing even working? And I think too, I think so many people will spend money on stupid things that don't work. Like they might see a TikTok where somebody says, "Hey, this pill works and it helps you lose weight." And they're like, "Oh, I'll spend $60, to try that," when you could have put that money towards actually learning the knowledge and being able to pour it back into yourself anyway.
Hmm. Yeah, I remember that. I remember us having a couple of conversations like back and forth before you actually like did commit to coaching. Um, and I think so many people think about just what they're potentially giving up, like maybe time away from their kids because they have to go to the gym or get a workout in, or maybe, the financial aspect of, okay, I'm paying this much a month for coaching, so I actually am going to see results and know what I'm doing. But that's money I could be spending on, my kids or this or that. But they don't think about everything that they gain from it and all of like the energy, the confidence that you gain from that. And also, like you said, all of these like pills and solutions that don't work. Like if you invest like financially in a good coach, you don't waste money on that stuff. So you save money there. And also like if your habits are so out of line where maybe you're getting DoorDash 5 days a week or you're going out to eat so many days a week, if you invest in a coach, just simply you working on changing those habits to like eat more at home, like you could potentially even save a lot of that money, like that cost that you're giving up there. Um,
Yeah.
and like a big thing too is you putting your health first is, like you said, allowing you to show up to be the best version of you can be for like your husband and for your kids. Um, I can't tell you how many conversations I've had with clients and they've told me that like their husband has noticed that they are just much happier or they're more positive to be around and they're not as irritated as much because like you're not waking up in the morning frustrated with all the clothes you're trying to put on that don't fit. Like you're able to put something on, look in the mirror, feel good in it, and then that like makes your whole day, right? Like when you feel good in your own skin versus the
Yeah.
opposite. Um, so people just, I think, focus so much on the potential negative of like the things it might be taking away, but don't realize like the positives you're going to gain from it are usually, much, much greater.
Yeah, and I think like people don't, I don't know. I think as a female, like so much of our thoughts every day are how we feel and how we look. And I think when you feel good, you look good and you feel more confident, and that confidence spills into like so many aspects of your life. And you don't you don't want to accept like the bad things or the negative things anymore when you start really investing in yourself. I think that just opens such a broad horizon of like all the positives that come with fitness and pouring into yourself. I think, when you're working on your body and you're working on your mental and everything that comes along with fitness, because I think the two tie in together, you just really change all aspects of your life. And I think for me speaking, it has made me a better wife, and it's definitely made me a better mom. It's made me a better employee because I have this confidence now to, put myself out there more. I'm not hiding myself and, oh my gosh, I feel like absolute crap today because I ate bad, all week and I'm just miserable in my body. I feel confident and I feel good and I want to put myself out there more and in different situations. So I think it opens up such a world of difference in so many ways that I think people don't really think of initially. Um, and one thing I know you said like about the finding time, I think it's you just have to make it. I mean, for me, I work 7 to 5 Monday through Thursday. So having 3 kids, 5 o'clock for me is not an option. I don't want to go right to the gym when I get off of work because I want to see my kids that I haven't seen all day. So for me, it's making that time in the morning for myself, which for me looks like getting up at 3:30 and being to the gym by 4. And was it absolutely horrible when I first started? Yeah, it sucked. I don't think anybody's like, I get to get up at 3:30 to go. Nobody wants to do that, but you make the time and you don't make excuses. And now, honestly, I can say it's something that I look forward to doing. I don't dread my alarm going off in the mornings anymore. I'm excited to get up and I'm excited for that hour to focus on myself. Yeah, there are days where, my kids might be with me if we go on the weekends. And that's something that, like, I think is so priceless. I think before I looked at it as like, if I'm taking my kids to the gym with me, then I'm making them unhappy and they don't want to be here. So now I feel guilty because you can spiral yourself in a million different directions with that. But I think if you sat any of my kids down right now and asked them, do you like going to the gym with mommy? They'd be like, yeah, they love it. It's something that they look forward to. And now they're focusing on, being healthier and in a good way. I'm not like making them obsessive about like weight or anything, but it's something that they're conscious about and wanting to be active and wanting to, maybe go for walks as a family or go for runs. And it's something that it's becoming a normal for them. So I think, you're also in that aspect as a mom, you're kind of like the leader of your family. And if you're showing your kids a healthy life and showing them, taking care of your body is something that's going to benefit you in the long run, you're instilling that in your kids at a young age too.
Yeah, you said a lot of really, really good things in there, and like one thing too is like you said, the confidence you gain from doing like something like this, it can improve so many other areas of your life, especially even professionally, which then can trickle down to you maybe getting some kind of job promotion, which then maybe your salary goes up, and then maybe you're able to provide better for your family just because of that. So in that sense, like if you go down the line there, it actually becomes a very unselfish decision to focus on your health and everything. Like I think about and this was obviously before I had kids, but back in like 2013 when I lost weight myself, that confidence I gained from just like making these daily promises to myself of, okay, I'm going to go to the gym or I'm going to walk or I'm going to, eat this food, like continuously keeping those promises to myself allowed me then to gain the confidence to, I think, do what I do now and like start my own business and do all of this and like because now when I have this fear, or not so much now, but when I started my business and I had this fear of like, am I going to be able to actually do this? Like, I could say, yeah, like I know how to show up for myself daily and do the actions or tasks that I told myself yesterday that I was going to do. And same thing with the job promotion. Like, if your boss asks you to like complete this project or something, if you don't have that proof of it doesn't have to be fitness, but this is a really good way to build it. But that proof of, okay, I'm going to show up for the gym, even though it's going to be hard. I'm going to get it done. I'm going to complete it. I'm going to accomplish it. If you don't have that proof telling yourself that, then when your boss does ask for this new project to be done, if it's intimidating, like you might be on the fence of like taking it on and be like, oh, I actually don't know if I do have time for this, even though maybe you could. So it really can help so many areas of your life that can trickle down and help the people around you so much more too. Um, and like I love what you said about taking your kids to the gym as well and how it's something that they look forward to. And I think most kids like they want to be involved with things that you're doing and you involved with things that they're doing. I think a lot of parents think their kids just want them around. But if you take an hour out of your day, even like like your scenario, you're waking up in the morning before all of that. But let's say in the evening, even if you take 45 minutes out of your day to get a workout in, but then when you're done with your workout, you're fully present with your kids and you're spending quality time with them. That's more important to them than like just being in their presence for that extra 45 minutes, like sitting, scrolling on your phone or watching TV, not really paying attention to them. So I think sometimes it's more about like the quality of time you spend and actually like doing things with them versus just the actual quantity of time you're spending with your kids too.
Yeah, I think they're interested in what you're interested in. I've learned that, especially having girls. They love their dad, obviously, but they want to do what mom does. And I've kind of taken that as I think before I was like, oh my gosh, I just want, like an hour to myself at the gym. But it's like, if I can if this can eventually turn into a hobby that we can do together, even better. I think they're watching us so much more than we even realize that they're watching us. My 5-year-old the other day, I was reading the Bible. It was Sunday morning. I had my coffee, was reading the Bible, and she's like, "What are you doing?" And I told her what I was doing. Well, then I think it was Wednesday. She's like, "Hey, mom, can you get me a Bible? I want to start reading the Bible." And I'm like, "You're 5." Like, but they're paying attention to every little thing that we do. And it wasn't ideal. This morning I had to take my 2-year-old to the gym with me, and I'm like, okay, I think I just had to like in my brain say this workout is not going to look anything like what I want it to, but I'm here and I'm going to get something done. And that looked like her being literally right beside me with a tiny little 2-pound dumbbell, swinging it around while I was trying to do my workout, but it worked and we got it done and she enjoys being there. So it's a win for both of us. And I think one thing off of what you were saying about like the building confidence and everything, one thing that I've like really learned in the last 2 years and I've like really taken with me through this is I used to be really bad about like setting boundaries and holding people accountable and, accepting things from others that I wouldn't want to accept, but I did it just because that was who I was. Like you said about showing up for yourself, I think when you hold yourself accountable and you start showing up for yourself and you're bettering yourself in different aspects, I've really learned like what to accept from other people as well. And like, okay, well, I've made these changes and I'm showing up for myself. So I'm going to hold other people accountable to do the same for me. And if they're not willing to do that, then I need to move forward. So it's literally been all aspects of my life, I guess, is what I'm trying to say. I think so many people think like fitness is just your body and bettering your body, but it's just so much more than that. And once you gain that confidence in yourself and you have that accountability within yourself, you really just want everything around you to be better too. So it just trickles down into literally every aspect of life.
Yeah, and that's why if you could like just take a potion or something or a magic pill and like automatically have the body you wanted, like your life wouldn't really change that much actually, because you wouldn't have gone through those trials, those tribulations of like showing up when you didn't really want to and building that kind of like, I guess, discipline, but like we kind of talked about before, confidence in yourself. Like you don't gain
Yeah.
confidence from just being skinnier, from taking a pill, maybe a little bit extra confidence, but most of that confidence you do build is just from showing up and doing the things that you like said you were going to do. And I think one thing that you kind of mentioned about like taking your 2 year old to the gym with you and realizing it wasn't going to be a perfect workout is so important to like bring up, because people fall into this all or nothing mentality so much and thinking things have to be perfect. Like if they don't have an hour to do their workout, but they have 45 minutes, they don't think it's worth it. Or if they have to like skip one exercise here, or they have to do a home workout instead of a gym workout because they can't make it that day, they think it's not worth it. And this trickles on into the nutrition side of things too, where if they have a busy day and they're not able to prep their food and they're going out to a fast food place, they're like, well, screw it. I'm eating fast food. Let me just get like huge McDonald's burger and a large fry, where really there are some like good options fast food wise that you can make to like do less damage, I guess, to your goals, or to, to get closer to hitting those nutrition targets still. So I think
Yeah.
you've done a really great job at just realizing that there's gray area in everything, and like the workout doesn't have to be perfect and your nutrition doesn't have to be perfect, but the closer you can get to whatever target or whatever your goal is for that day to complete, the more progress you'll continue to make long term. So I think that's something really important to remember for like parents, but especially moms, that like it's not always going to look perfect, but you can make a big difference in your progress by doing something or doing half of it versus just choosing not to do anything at all.
Yeah, I think, like moms are so big on routines and schedules because everybody knows like your kids function best under a routine and a schedule. Um, and I think like one thing too that I've really had to shift my mindset of is like, say, I've been in this for 2 years now. Emery is now, my youngest is now 2. So when I started this, she was an infant. And if she had a bad night and she was up in the night, in my brain, I'm like, okay, well, I can't get up and go to the gym at 4 o'clock in the morning. So I just have to skip it for today. I've had to shift that mindset to kind of like work around my kids and work around their schedules. And really, like you said, get out of that all or nothing mindset. And I know we talked about this like last week. The ebbs and flows of this are always going to be there. I think, especially people with kids in sports and everything, like it's crazy and it's chaos. And if you have multiple kids in multiple sports, like you're on the go, you might be out to eat. And I think, for me, like preparing in my head for the week, like, okay, I know we have a game this day or we have this going on this day, not to just throw my whole day and my whole routine off. You kind of have to work around that and look ahead and say, okay, I'm going to get my workout in at this time because I have this going on, or pack food for yourself that you can eat on the go has been something really critical for me to learn. Not just say, well, okay, well, we're going to be out late and we're probably going to get the kids, Wendy's on the way home. I'm just going to eat, a double cheeseburger or something.
Yeah.
I've had to like really prepare myself. And I think you did like a series on this too, and it was so helpful, the healthier options for fast food, because in all reality, are there going to be times where we have to grab McDonald's or whatever? Absolutely. Like, I don't think any mom or dad is ever going to get out of that. But just knowing, like, okay, I might have to eat fast food tonight, but there's a healthier option than what I normally would have gotten. It's not the mindset of like, okay, I have to eat fast food, so I'm going to get a double cheeseburger and fries and just call it a day because it's something that I couldn't control, having to eat here. So I think it really is truly just all about the mindset, and the work is never going to go away as a mom. Like you're never going to not have busy schedules and hectic lives. It's just all about like what you're willing to put into it and how you're willing to adjust your own schedule for, your own progress.
Yeah, I had a conversation with a client just like yesterday, kind of about a similar situation, but You will be surprised at how little you have to do fitness wise to keep the results that you have. Like to make results, like, yeah, like there's a certain baseline level of, okay, working out 3 to 4 times a week, hitting your step goal, hitting your nutrition goals. But to keep the results during those really hectic days or periods where like you have a lot of stuff going on with kids or this got out of your routine and you got no sleep, like you can maintain so much of your results like working out even 1 time a week if you really push yourself for that one workout. Like you can maintain a lot of muscle by doing that. You can maintain your body composition by not necessarily hitting your fat loss range of calories or being exact with your protein, but just getting close, relatively close to your maintenance level and close to your protein. So like the threshold to keeping your results and maintaining your results is much lower than it is to actually getting results, which is good because you have a little bit of like wiggle room and a safety net there. But a lot of people either don't know that or they just kind of ignore that and fall into that all or nothing mindset. And they're like, okay, well, like you said, we're going to McDonald's. My daughter really wants McDonald's and like she's screaming, so I'm just gonna go and screw looking at the menu or to see like what the nutrition contents of any of that stuff is. I'm just gonna get a burger and fries because like I ruined it. It's McDonald's. So it's going to make me, gain fat anyway. I might as well just like say screw it. When really you can look at the menu and like choose something that is a little bit lower in calories that doesn't set you off too far from what your actual target is. Or, maybe like Chick-fil-A is right down the street. And if you would have kind of thought, okay, well, I can still make the most of this situation. I can ask my daughter, hey, like, is she okay with Chick-fil-A? And maybe she would be like, oh, sure, I'll have that. And then now you can get like the grilled nuggets at Chick-fil-A. You can get their fruit cup, I think they have as a side. And you can get like 2 orders of grilled nuggets and like 2 sides of fruit cups. And like that might be 50 grams of protein and like 400 calories versus just like saying, oh, I don't have control because my kids want McDonald's, going there. And now you're getting like a burger that's 800 calories and a fry that's 500 calories
Yeah.
and like way farther. And so there's always some level of control that you have. And if you just get resourceful, you can typically make the most out of the situation where you don't have to way overeat for your goals and go backwards. Like most people, no matter what situation they're in, they're going to be able to make like a good choice where they at least are able to maintain things instead of going backwards.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think just realizing too, like, it's a process. I mean, I've worked out for years and I've worked with you, like I said, too. And I wouldn't say that I'm like 100% in the physique that I would like to be in, but I think it's just like remembering that it's a journey and it's a lifestyle and it's not something that I think everybody is so stuck on like instant gratification and the quick results and wanting things to like look this way or oh my gosh, I worked out for 3 months and I ate healthy. Why didn't I lose 50 pounds and look exactly how I want to look? And I think just going in with a mindset of like this is something that is going to be a long journey and a long process, and it's not it's not all about the weight on the scale. That's been really hard for me to kind of learn, especially in the last couple of months. I think we've had conversations too where I'm like, I'm frustrated. I'm not dropping 10 pounds in this fat loss phase. What am I doing wrong? But I've had to just keep going and I've had to trust, like, okay, you're making healthy choices. You're still prioritizing your workouts. I think one of the questions I get from people so much that know that I like have still been working with you is, well, when do you ever eat like what you want to eat? Like, hasn't it been awful to diet for this long? And I'm like, I'm not dieting. Like, I don't ever feel like I'm restricting myself from anything that I like really want. I think that's another thing too, like that all or nothing mindset. Like that is not the case at all to make the progress. And I think, that's important to note as a mom and just as anybody that likes food. Like you don't have to never eat a pizza again or never eat a cheeseburger again. Like you just have to fit that into your goals and your day. Um, because I think like one thing when I came into this too was, okay, if I'm paying this amount of money am I willing to like never eat what I want to eat again? Or am I willing to like be perfect all the time with my workouts and, miss out on doing things with friends that I would want to do? And that's not the case at all. I think there's just such a balance that you figure out too as you go. And um, just really like figuring out what works for you has been, so helpful to me. And if I know, okay, I really want, to go out to dinner with friends or my husband or whatever on a Friday, like I'm going to prioritize in that day, like how I can fit that in there. So I think that's just been like something that I've really taken from this process is just the ebbs and flows of it. Like I'm not perfect. I'm never going to be perfect. And I don't have to be perfect in order to make progress and have success in this either.
Yeah, I think a lot of people really approach it the wrong way where they think, okay, well, I'm starting my journey. So now for the next 3 months or the next 4 months, I'm cutting out all fast food. I'm, you know, staying religious to 5 days a week of workouts when I'm currently doing zero. And,
Yeah.
I'm going to hit 10,000 steps every single day. And it's like, then they're like, okay, I'm going to do that for 4 months, get a bunch of results, and then I guess I'm going to go back to my normal life, what it was before afterwards. And that's not what this is. And it shouldn't be that way on your own journey. And it shouldn't be that way if you hire a coach either. And this is why, like, I. I really try to like get through to people who like new people who are signing on now, but even like older people, but that like my program or the program we have here, there's a 6 month minimum commitment that I have to work with clients because like it takes a while to see a good significant result if you do it the right way. And also like I want to work with people who like understand that this is like a long-term thing and they're not just trying to like sign up for 3 weeks and try to crash diet and get ready for their Cancun trip in a month or something. Um, but there's a 6 month minimum, but like the time that some clients work with me is sometimes unlimited because like we have to realize we're not trying to overhaul your entire life to where here's your start date, here's your end date. Let's cram as much progress as we can in this short time frame. Like obviously like I want my clients to see the best results possible and like um I have clients who lose 20 pounds in 4 months, 30 pounds in 6 months, sometimes 20 pounds or 30 pounds in like a year. And so like there's different levels, but it's it's not that my program or even just starting your own journey should not feel like, okay, I'm starting a brand new diet. I'm starting a brand new workout routine that's like completely different than what I have currently been doing. It's about integrating it into your life and, like you said, having the cheeseburger sometimes, or, having the pizza sometimes, or like missing a workout sometimes. Like it happens and that's okay. Like that's life. You're trying to learn how to make progress long term and continue to make progress for the rest of your life if you want to, versus just trying to learn how to make progress in a short 3 month or 6 month time frame. Like, and um, if it does feel like you're like extremely dieting and cutting out a bunch of stuff just for this like short term program you signed up for, then your results aren't going to last afterwards. They just won't.
Yeah, I mean, your girl drinks an iced coffee every day. I still have, well, I don't know. I wouldn't say that my like choices of food have really been, I don't think I was like an awful eater before. Obviously, I've had to cut things out like for food allergy wise, but yeah, I think people, when they see my progress or they know that I'm working with you, they're like, aren't you tired of eating grilled chicken and vegetables every day? And I'm like, I don't eat any of that, Well, I do, but like not
You don't eat
consistently.
any
So,
vegetables? No, I'm just kidding.
no, I mean like daily, but I
Yeah.
think like that's like the knowledge that comes with it too. And I think it's just really trusting the process and really trusting like the community that you've built here. Like, yes, we work one on one with you and you're giving us all this amazing information and knowledge and you're teaching. But I think the community of like moms and women and everything that you've built too is so helpful to just bounce ideas off of because nobody's going to be sustainable if they're eating a piece of grilled chicken every day with a side of broccoli for dinner and a protein shake or something for breakfast, which I think like when people go into this they think, like you said, we have to completely restrict ourselves to be successful, and it's like bouncing ideas off of other moms like, hey, I know you have a busy schedule this week. What are you throwing in the crock pot for easy meals? Or what does your, meal prep look like? And I'll be honest with you, I mean, initially, like, I don't feel like I meal prepped every day. I think I kind of went into it like winging it, and I wasn't as successful, not because I was like choosing bad options, but I think I was like still under eating because I wasn't prepared. Whereas to now, I might go 3 or 4 weeks eating the same meal prep just because I know that, okay, I'm going to fit this into my macros and it's helpful to me and I really enjoy eating it. And then when I get tired of it, I switch it up again. So not everybody has to do that to be successful, but it's just like finding your niche and what works for you of like, okay, I know that if I eat, X, Y, and Z, that I'm going to be full and I'm going to, hit my macros and stuff. But there was a long period of time where I didn't do that. I think it's just like as I grow in it and as I get more comfortable, I know like what my body needs to be full and I know what my body needs to feel the best. So another thing, like I know we talked about too, like on my higher days, I used to look so forward to my higher days when I was in a fat loss because I'm like, yes, like I can eat, pizza or I can go and eat a cheeseburger or whatever. And like now that I've gotten this far in and now that I've learned what I've learned, I don't even like, I don't crave those types of things anymore because I know how my body is going to react to it. I think it almost like shocks your system of like, what are you giving me right now? And then it takes me days to recover from eating it. So like I don't really even crave those things anymore. Not to say that like anybody else feels that way, but I think it's just realizing that like you don't have to be one way to be successful. And I think that's what is so powerful about your program and this group is like there's so many different people and so many different like aspects of life and they're in different, spots in life, but everybody has the same goal and that's just to feel good about themselves and be healthy. And it's just so cool to like see everybody's journey and really just learn from everybody else too.
Yeah, everyone has different goals and they have different current lifestyles too. And like also an important point to remember is it's okay if you want to lose 20 pounds and you saw Jessica lose it in 5 months. It's okay if it takes you 10 months or if it takes you a year. Like there's no reason why you need to lose it as quickly as someone else did. If there is a reason, it's a reason you are creating in your own head that isn't necessarily valid of, well, I gotta lose it before this quote unquote minimum commitment program is done because then it's done, which is why like I try to preach, okay, like this is the minimum, but like a lot of clients work with me longer because they're more successful by being able to slowly implement some of these things in their life versus feeling like they have to do such an extreme change all of a sudden. Or thinking just because someone else lost it in a certain time frame that like they need to or they're behind or they're failing. Like some of my most successful clients are ones that lose it in a longer time frame because then they are implementing these changes into their life more so the weight loss sticks for longer, for good, versus if there was someone who lost 20 pounds in 3 months, like they're probably going to gain it back most of the time. So realizing that, and I have had so many people ask me, like when they're kind of inquiring about coaching, how much time does this program require per week? And I'm like, I literally cannot answer that question for you because some clients work out twice a week. Some clients work out 4 days a week. Some clients work out three. Some clients have to do meal prep because that's what sets them up for success. Some don't. Some clients have a very busy job, so they're walking a lot, so they're getting a lot of steps in, and some clients don't, so they have to take, extra time, during their day to get steps in. And some clients too maybe don't require as big of a step goal as what you do to see results. So like that question, it's not a one size fits all. It's not just like a template program where, okay, here's your 5 workouts, here's your meal prep time, here's your steps that you have to hit no matter what. Like it's all individual. So like in approaching it in that aspect of, okay, I'm going into this program or this coaching with the mindset of this is where my life is at. and we're going to make probably some tweaks to it, because if you just keep doing the same thing every day that you did before, your results not going to change. But we're going to make some small tweaks to it, but they're going to be based off of where I'm currently at and not off of what this cookie cutter program, that I found online is going to be. Um, so I think remembering that it's okay to go at your own pace, that everyone's on different parts of their journeys, and what you require to see progress can be totally different than what someone else requires to see progress.
Yeah, I mean, comparison is the thief of joy, right? Like when I first started, I started with a girl that was from my hometown, and I mean, I'm friends with her. And I remember looking at her pictures and being like, what in the world is she doing that I'm not doing? Like, why is she losing all this weight and I'm not? And then I could have easily self-sabotaged myself in that moment, to be honest with you. I think I could have looked at that like, I'm paying this money and I'm not getting the results that she's getting, so it's not working for me. I'm just going to stop. But I think, I mean, even I think you reeled me in there for a minute. Like, you got to realize, like, you're two totally different people at two totally different aspects of life. Body composition is different. Just because she's doing this doesn't mean that it's not working for you. And I think that is so important in so many different aspects of life, but definitely fitness. Like, do not compare your journey to anybody else's. I remember going to a workout class before and the instructor saying, don't look around you, their journey is not yours. And that has, like, I think about that all the time. Like, I'm constantly cheering people on social media for their own journey, but I'm not sitting back and comparing it to mine because I know it's different. So I think it can be intimidating too when, like, people are first starting out, they're watching these other journeys and they might be like, "Oh my gosh, I could never do that." Well, you don't have to. You don't your story doesn't have to look like somebody else's. Just start, I think, is the most, like, important message. I mean, somebody might look at my journey and be like, "Oh my God, in order to work with Joey, I have to get up at what time in the morning and I have to do, however many workouts a week." That's not what your journey has to look like to be successful. I think you just have to get to the point where you genuinely want to make the changes and start and just realize your journey is your own, not anybody else's.
Yeah, I was smiling when you said that, because I was going to say before you even brought that up that I've had a couple of people who have asked me, like, do I have to wake up at 3:30 and go to the gym like Katie if I do this? Literally,
They're
I've
like,
had a
"Who
couple of
is
people,
this?"
and I'm like, no, like Katie does it because she's a psychopath. No, Katie does it because that's just, the time she has to do it, or the time she prefers, right? Like, she's
Yeah.
making that time to do it. Most people can find time, or can make time, I should say, not at 3:30 to go to the gym. Most people can wake up at a more reasonable time and get their workout
Yeah.
in and feel good about the time they're doing it in. But, sometimes you got to do what you have to do. Like, if you want to be home and not be in the gym in the evening because you want to be home with your kids, your family, and that's the only time you can go is at 3:30, okay, the options are maybe you do home workouts, though obviously there's some cons with that, like of just limited equipment, maybe not being able to push yourself as much unless you decide to invest in like a bunch of home gym equipment. That's an
Yeah.
option. Or, the other option is wake up at the ass crack of dawn, and or before then, and go
Yeah.
to the gym before. And that's just the decision you're making. That's a time you're wanting to make to work out. But like, just because Katie does that doesn't mean you have to. But you probably still, if you don't have any working out in your life at all, you probably have to make some sacrifice to fit it in. But like, that's what you have to do if you want the results. Like, you can't wave a magic wand and just want the results so bad, and like somehow they just come because you want them bad enough. Like, you have to take the actions to actually do it. Um, I've had some people who like, and it's so interesting working with a variety of people and different lifestyles, because I've had some people where like they're single, they work a full-time job, but they're single, they don't have any kids, and like they find it hard to make time or find time to go to the gym. And I'm like, I have a lot of clients who are moms, they're married, they work full time too, and they make the time to do it. So, like,
Yeah.
most people can find the time to do just, 3 workouts a week. And it doesn't have to be anything crazy. Like, you can see amazing results 3 times a week. Um, So I think that's also like a big issue. People think they have to do 5 times and they're like, well, I can't do five, so like why even try? Or they think, well, I have to wake
Yeah.
up at 3:30, but you don't have to do that. Um, but yeah, just realizing everybody's journey is different, and everybody has different environmental factors, their life, their family, their work environment. Other people have different genetics too, which predisposes them to like maybe having to lose fat a little bit slower than other people. Even like your starting point too. Like I've had this conversation a lot. If somebody is starting at 250 pounds and you're starting at 180 pounds, and you want to lose 20 pounds and they lose 20 pounds in 5 months, and it's taking you 6 months to lose 20 pounds or longer, and you're like, why is it taking me longer? Well, they're starting at a much higher body fat point than you. So like their body's going to let go of that extra body fat faster likely. So remembering all of that is super important, like you said.
Yeah. I'm just laughing at the single person not finding time. Like, I just think moms thrive in chaos. So you're just like, your life is chaos and your life is hectic. So you're like, let's add to it, like, and you do
Uh-huh.
better with that structure of it to figure it out. Whereas I think it would be harder to be self-motivated if you weren't like rapid fire having to like plan your day out ahead of time. When you have the freedom to have your time after work, there's options of things that you can do. Like you could say, well, I'd rather
Yeah.
go out with friends. But if you're a mom, you're more than likely coming home anyway. So it's just figuring out what works for you.
Yeah. It's almost like when you were in high school, right? You had all these responsibilities and you got like super overwhelmed thinking about your responsibilities if you were somebody who was going to go to college. And then you go to college and then you think about, okay, like now I'm going to go to grad school after, and you get overwhelmed thinking about those new responsibilities. And you're like, how am I going to like fit in all of these extra responsibilities on top of that? Like, I already feel like I'm spread thin. And then you go through grad school and this and that. And then now, like, you have kids and you work full time and you're balancing fitness, and then you look back and when you were in college you're like, wow, I had so much free time. I could have fit like 10 gym sessions in a day if I really wanted
Yeah.
to. And it's it's like same thing I think happens with people who like are, let's say, single, don't have kids, and they feel like it's hard for them to make time to go to the gym. It's just like their threshold hasn't been forced to be that high, so they like struggle with
Mhm.
realizing, okay, like I work even like 9 to 5 or 9 to 6. Like you can go to the gym either before or after that, if especially if you don't have like really that many other responsibilities like before or after.
Yeah. Embrace it. That's all I
Yeah.
have to
And it's
say.
like, as a coach, you have to like understand it's still hard, but it's like realizing you do have the time, and it's you just have to go through the hardness of making the time versus telling yourself I don't have the time and then giving yourself an out and being like, okay, it's not possible, right? There's a difference between something being possible but it's hard, right? It's hard to change your habits, which is super understandable, versus labeling it as, okay, it's impossible for me to go to the gym on this day.
Yeah.
um,
Yeah.
so I feel like we kind of touched on a lot, but what do you feel like is the biggest thing that like what are some like inspirations or motivators that you have for just like checking off the daily task, going to the gym, when you're tired? Like, how do you stay motivated to keep doing it? When those times you don't really want to.
Um, I think if you would have asked me that a couple years ago, my answer would be different than it was now. I think for people just starting off, like you have to want better for yourself and you have to want to make that change. I think when I first like really started pouring myself into fitness and just like working out and eating healthier, I was at like a super low point in life. I think mental health and just there was a lot going on in my personal life. When I first started really heavily into fitness, obviously was when Corey was going through cancer. I felt so out of control, like I had no control over anything. I was mad, I was angry. I had this why is this happening to our family type attitude, and I needed something to put that energy into. I had a 2 and a 1 year old at the time going through, dealing and navigating that whole thing. So at that time, it was, I have to do something to put my energy into that's positive to make, myself stay afloat, my mental health stay afloat. What's kept me going is knowing the results. I think there is nothing that is more fulfilling than pouring, a ton of energy into something and seeing the results of it. I get super fulfilled, obviously, from parenting my kids. I love my kids. I love being a mom, and to see like the humans that they're growing into is super, super rewarding. And I think I look at fitness the same. Like I am doing something that's hard. I mean, it's not easy to get up at 3:30 in the morning and go to the gym every day. It's not always easy to make the choice to eat better when I maybe want to eat something that's not that good, but seeing the reward and seeing, the changes in my body and knowing like I did that. I worked really hard for that. And, all of my sacrifices and all of the days that I got up when I didn't want to led me to where I am now. That's inspiring and that's motivating. Seeing my kids fall in love with, being at the gym and being proud of me. I think, hearing your kids say, my mommy's strong and my mommy works out, that's something that I'm like, gosh, that, that melts my heart. And that's something that makes me feel fulfilled because that's something that they can look up to and be proud of me for. Um, just knowing that it's bettering me all around. I think, marriage is hard, being a mom is hard, life is hard in general, I think for everybody. But knowing that I can give, my husband the best version of me because I'm truly, truly happy with who I am and what I've done for myself is that's priceless, I think. I think just being able to genuinely look in the mirror every day and be like, I love her. I love who she is. I love, the person that I've worked really hard to become. Fitness gave me all of that. And I wouldn't be the person that I am today. I wouldn't be anywhere near where I'm at today in any aspect of life if I wouldn't have taken that chance on myself a couple years ago. So I think that is what inspires me, and I just genuinely want everybody to win. I want everybody to feel the way that I feel about myself because I think, when you become a mom and you lose so much of yourself, you give your body up and you give your mind up, and my whole life revolves around my kids and my family. And there's some days where I'm like pissed at the world because I'm like, man, I would just love 5 minutes to do something for myself, but I have to put these humans ahead of me. And I don't feel that way with fitness. I feel like that's my time where I can say, I'm doing this for me and in return it's benefiting everybody else too. So I think all of that just kind of ties in together. And I know that was like a super long answer, but I'm genuinely so passionate about it because I just want everybody to be able to feel good. And I want every mom to, be able to look in the mirror after giving themselves and their bodies up for everybody else to be able to be like, man, she worked her ass off for this. And I genuinely love, the reflection that I see.
Hmm. Yeah, no, I love all that, and um, I think like really appreciating the small wins along the way too. And I think so many people have in their head, okay, like as far as staying motivated, like they think, okay, once I reach this certain body weight, like if they're currently 200 and they're like, okay, once I get under 170, then I'll be happy. And if you keep having that mindset, it's going to be really hard to stay motivated because every day you're kind of reminding yourself, I'm not at 170 yet. I'm not there yet. I'm not there yet. But if you really are open to all of the small wins that you're going to experience along the way of, okay, once you lose 5 pounds, oh, like my shirt's starting to feel a little bit better. Or once you, show up for a month or two in a row, you're like, oh, like I can pick up my kids and play with them and I don't get as tired and I can carry both kids at once, maybe, if they're smaller and like not have to put them down. Like and be able to do those things, and you like recognize that and acknowledge that. Or maybe you um are working out in the gym, and just like a few months in or even a few weeks in, like you notice a little bit more muscle definition when you're wearing a tank top or something. Like those small wins, I think it's really important to be open to those along the way, and not thinking there's this finish line where that's where you're going to find all of your happiness once you're finally at that size. I think that's important. And I think it's also important because once you get that, like reach that finish, quote unquote finish line, it doesn't, like, it's not a finish line anymore, usually at that point. Like you get to 170 and you're like, you get, like, you've kind of talked to me about this before, like you get almost kind of addicted to making progress, and you're like, oh, like, okay, well, I lost the weight and I fit into my clothes the way I thought I wanted to fit into it, 8 months ago. But now I'm like, like I would like to grow my glutes more, or I would like to like see my back a little bit more jacked or something, or I would like to, okay, I'm at 135-pound squat, like I'd love to get to 150 or something, or I'd like to be able to squat my body weight. Like there's new goals that usually end up coming up as you get close to that like initial finish line you first set. So if you get so married to like, okay, I'm finally going to find happiness once I reach that end goal, the end goal is going to shift when you get close to it. And then you're going to tell yourself, okay, well, I finally be happy once I get to this end goal. And then you get closer to that end goal, and then the end goal shifts again. And the goalpost just keeps shifting over and over usually. So if you don't learn to find happiness along the way with these smaller wins, then like you're going to find yourself like in a really hard spot staying motivated, because like that like promised land, that euphoric feeling you're looking for, it usually doesn't happen to that extreme. It's the small moments that like really make a difference of, like you said, your kids looking at you, your daughters, and being like, yeah, mommy's like really strong and stuff. Like it's those little things that really keep you the most motivated.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
No, I
what would,
agree.
yeah, what would you say, like, I guess just to kind of like wrap up, what are some of like what's your biggest piece of advice to, like, I guess moms who are really struggling with staying consistent, or even just starting because they feel like they're just so busy, they don't have time, they have other people that need things from them. I mean, I know we talked a lot about this, but just to like wrap up, what are like some of your final thoughts with that?
I think just keep going. I think if, like I said today, I could have easily been like, I'm skipping the gym. I have my 2-year-old with me. I'm not about it today. I think it's all just about that mindset shift of, even 10 minutes here, if that's all she lasts, is better than me going home and sitting on the couch and, doing nothing. Finding movement with them. My 7-year-old really, really, really likes to run. Not really my jam, but like it's something that we can do together. So even if that's like running around the block with her, that's better than sitting on the couch playing a video game with her. I think it's just realizing that mindset of it doesn't have to be all or nothing. Little wins every day are still wins, and they add up to be, big things. And I think, like you said, getting in that, I think, goal focus of like, when does my happiness come? Okay, well, I'll finally be happy, like you said, when I hit this number on the scale. I was guilty of that 100%. And I think, in a lot of reflection and a lot of growth that I've done, that was just genuinely me being unhappy with myself. I mean, I think I looked around and I looked at my life and I'm like, okay, I have, an amazing husband. I have beautiful kids. We have a beautiful home, and I have a job, and I have all of these things. Why am I still unhappy? And I think we always think like, okay, well, when I get this, I'll be happy. Or when I get this new car, I'll be happy. Or when I get this. And happiness doesn't come from things that you can buy or things that, you get. I think it's truly what you work for. And I think, what better thing to invest in and work on than yourself? And if you can genuinely be happy with who you are and what you're putting into the world, everything else is going to fall along with it. And I've really, really learned that. I think I chased for so long, a certain number, or, all these other aspects of my life when in reality, all that time, all I needed to do was take a chance on myself and invest on myself. So I think for all moms and anybody, just realizing your happiness doesn't come from external things, it comes from within yourself. And investing in yourself is never going to be something that you regret. So even if it's you're afraid to start off and you're afraid to take a chance on yourself, start small. You don't have to, like you said, you don't have to say, well, I'm never going to eat a carb again, or I'm not going to eat, anything with X amount of fat in it because that's going to ruin my whole diet. Start eliminating things in small portions. It doesn't have to be all or nothing. And I think if you're in this journey and you've been going 6 months and you're like, okay, well, where do I go from here? Just keep going. I mean, you don't have to be perfect. And I think just realizing happiness comes from within you and not all these external things is huge.
Yeah, and I'll just wrap up with this. And it's really cliche to say, and people have heard it all the time, but it's like you have to find your love and joy in the process of just like getting better or improving, or the process of reaching the next goal that you have. People think that it's like achieving something big is like that's their defining moment, but really the defining moment is like the work you put on up, like put in leading up to that. Like I have this powerlifting meet coming up this weekend, and like training for it is the most fun thing I can do. Like competing is fun, don't get me wrong, but
Yeah.
like it's the like anticipation of like, okay, I have this goal, I'm working towards it, I'm doing the hard things, small PRs here and there, small little like cute clues of progress coming up, and that's what's like really truly addicting. And I think it's
Yes.
where like you see these, like celebrities even who they like get, ridiculously rich, make all this money, and they're still unhappy. And it's like I think it's because they think this the money or the result is what's going to bring them the happiness, but really it's like the journey getting there, which is like actually because that's what's fulfilling. It's like showing up
Yeah.
when you don't want to, completing the task, completing the workout when you are tired, that feeling like during it or afterwards, realizing, okay, I'm actually doing the thing. That actually is what like really gives us like the happiness that we're looking for. It's like the almost like anticipation of the result that's going to come if we continue. That's what like with human behavior is like really addicting. And not to like go
Yeah.
down a different rabbit hole, but that's also why like um people like gambling. I think a lot of the issue with gambling, from kind of what I've like heard about people talk about with like the neurological side of it is like that anticipation of if they're going to win or not. It's not winning that's addicting and why people get addicted to gambling so much. It's that like anticipation of like waiting to see like, okay, did I really win? And the same goes for like your journey, that like working towards that end goal. And that's what like you should be fulfilled in, is just every day knowing you're like just trying to be better and trying to like fulfill and max out who you are as a person. Because like I said in the beginning of this, I might be less than a third away done with my life, so like it's short. And it's like I want to leave this earth knowing that like I achieved as much as I could. And if you approach it with that mindset, like it doesn't matter where you put your end destination at, as long as you're getting better or working towards it, every day, and that's like your mindset, you're gonna feel fulfilled during the process. Um, so, uh, thanks so much, for coming on here, Katie. That was fun.
Yeah.
I
Thanks for
feel like we
having
could
me.
have talked for like 3 more hours
I was
back
gonna
and
say I
forth.
could keep going based off
Yeah.
what you just said,
So
but
I'm sure I'll definitely, for sure have you on, in the future soon. So, uh,
yeah.
cool. Well, thanks so much for coming on, and to
Thank
everyone else,
you.
we will see you guys in the next one.
Yes.